Welcome to my Module 5 tutorial. Today I'm going to show you a C++ program that receives a number of rooms in a hotel building and calculates the total number of rooms and the occupancy rate by using loops. There are some conditions to keep in mind. The number of floors must be at least 1. There is no 13th floor, and each floor must have at least 10 rooms. So by now you've seen me use these libraries, so we will go straight to the main function. Here are my variables. I'm using two types. Notice that I'm initializing the counter to the value of 1, whereas my other variables are initialized to 0. In my program, I start out by asking the user for the number of floors in the hotel and validating the input. I'm looking for an integer input of at least 1. And I'm using these statements here to clear any input that may not be an integer, such as letters or whitespace. And I'm notifying the user that the input must be an integer with a value of at least 1. So I'm using the counter variable to keep track of what floor we are on. Because we do not have a floor 0, recall that the counter variable was initialized to 1. I start my program off with an if statement because when the counter hits floor 13, I wanted to skip that floor insofar as asking how many rooms, because there is no 13th floor. So I'll output a courtesy notice to the user and increase the counter by 1. When we are not on floor 13, that is, when the counter does not hold the value of 13, I'm going to ask the user for how many rooms are on the floor number that corresponds with the counter. I need to validate the user input again, first to make sure that it is an integer, and then by making sure that the user's input of the number of rooms falls within the number of rooms that they indicated was on the floor. Here I'm keeping a tally of the total number of rooms in the hotel. By increasing the total with each pass, we ask the user for the number of rooms on each floor. Now I'm asking the user how many of the rooms are occupied. Notice that I'm still validating the input from the user and also checking to make sure that the input is within the range of the number of rooms they indicated was on the floor. At the end of the pass, I'm going to add the occupancy of the floor to the total occupancy of the hotel. Now that I have finished all the floors, I'm going to calculate the percentage of the occupancy of the hotel and display the calculations to the user. And as always, I'm going to give the user a chance to review the totals before the program exits, so I am including this right here to pause the system until the user hits enter. So let's go ahead and run it. Okay, I'm going to put in let's say a negative number, and it wants me to add something else greater than 0. Let's try 1. And how many rooms are on floor 1? It says it has to have 10 or more, so we'll put in 10. Let's say 4. And I'm going to make this a little bigger. And it gives me the output. And all those numbers look good. Okay, great. I'll see you guys in Module 6.